Yes, dear panelists, welcome on stage. Let's have a seat. Victoria? Okay, we will just have a seat and then relax and wait for the others.
Exactly, have a little chat.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much. I'm delighted to have all you in the panel. And I would love to say that many of you are my close friends and partners, which is very valuable. Let's wait for others until this. Maybe we will share one thought before we start the panel. What are your expectations to the conferences like this? What you as an expert basically expect from the conferences, and where do you see the value?
Maybe can I start? Because I really like the answer Joseph in another panel discussion, and it was about the networking. I'm thinking that the most important part of this conference is the networking, because there is a huge opportunity to meet the amazing people, start discuss with them, and it's a little bit easier than like a LinkedIn message or something like this. So networking is always the best opportunity on this conference.
Thank you, Martina. Victoria?
Well, I've got a mission, and the mission is to bring an ethical and transparent industry when it comes to payments and banking. And these conferences, these networking opportunities are very good to make people aware that payment and banking affects every area of your organization. You need to talk about it. There are complexities. We cannot just have them as side function of finance, because then you're going to drown in the fees and the risks and the problems. So this gives a good opportunity for me to bring that mission up and talk about why is it very important today to talk about payments and banking, and how you need to approach it, and how much money you're actually losing by not doing it so.
Thank you, Victoria. Saulus?
Yeah, can you hear me? First of all, it's really about networking. It's a different kind of, format. Just I had pleasure, maybe not pleasure, to attend 2 months ago ICE. It was about, shining, flashing lamps, and just after 2 hours, you're really so tired that there is only one idea in your head, just to rush as fast as you can and just leave the venue, And here is really this very human format, you really can meet people, you can mingle, you really can find new acquaintances, it's really about networkings. And it's a very nice format, 150 people, nice wining, nice dining, everything. It's really, within the very human format. That's really, it's about the networking and about enjoying the human format.
Thank you. Joseph?
We already mentioned networking, so I'll have to think of something else. Definitely not the attendance for panels. So that is one thing this needs more work on, but it's actually tied into what we said earlier in the other panel, like people don't really come to listen to us speaking, and at the end of the day, I think the whole point here is meeting the right people, and that's why Zoltan does a very good job in bringing together a certain type of people. Not the top level, but not like it's pure C-level, so it's people that take decisions. So I think kudos to him that he managed to create this. And yes, I think the intimate, this is too intimate, but we're too few here. But the intimate setup helps a lot in building relationships. But also, I think it's something very interesting is that I moved from gambling to financial services. I started my move in 2016. And it's so much fun now to see all the gambling conferences and the people in the gambling industry moving on also into crypto and DMIs and PSPs and other financial services. And like I like to say, look, I was the first one to make the move, because there are two industries that are so similar that the same talent that you have in one industry is easy to move over to the other industry. And this is actually what Malta is doing with Fintech. A lot of employees in the gambling industry are now moving into the crypto industry. And it's creating a bit of problems in terms of employment, because now the gambling companies are going nuts because they can't find employees. But at the same time, it's so interesting, this evolution sort of. The gaming industry is the payment industry par excellence. Yeah. It's where the most money moves.
Thank you, Josep, for sharing this. And actually, I think this is a smooth and amazing introduction to the topic of our panel, right? Because we will talk today about the fintech and iGaming and connection of those two industries, how the payment innovations are driving the seamless player experiences. And I would like to shift this topic a little bit wider. What about the operator's experience? And what about the operator connections with the payments and fintechs and innovative financial solutions? And to do the proper introduction, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself and share what one thing is making you excited if we are talking about the interaction between fintech and iGaming. Martina?
Okay, I start. I am representing the fintech side. I am representing Payout. Payout is more money platform, and we was designed especially for gaming industry, offering deposit and withdrawal processes. And our license fintech is focusing on seamless integration with clients' internal systems, software, and platforms, ensuring the high security standards and local requirements and regulatory. Payout supports 7 different currencies, both incoming and outgoing, and we bridge the traditional payment automation and the future blockchain-based systems. So this is a little bit introduction about us. And in this moment, we are active in gambling industry in CE region, and this year I hope it will be a Nordic region.
Thank you, Victoria.
Well, my name is Victoria Scholtes, and I have the PSP Angels Group, which is an independent payment and banking consultancy, because I realized that whoever is making decisions over payments and banking are just not really having a clue what they are doing. They are not educated adequately to do so. There are a lot of misconceptions in the industry. So we are explaining through the consultancy or through the educational initiative, the Scholtes Institute, of what is a bank, what is a payment service provider, how banks think, how money moves. And actually, I wrote all my experience in a book, which I brought you today. So if you would like to know a bit more about how banks think, how money moves internationally, and how fintech companies can work with users, and how the merchants can find the relevant payment providers and strategize and plan for payments and banking, then just ask a question, because at the end of the panel, we're going to ask you to ask the question, and I've got 5 books to give you. So I would like to make it a bit more interactive, and please shoot us with the questions, and you will be rewarded with a book.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Saulius?
Good, actually, and sit on the 2 chairs. Say, when it comes to what is written, actually, it's not confirmation. They're supposed to be base up UIB and the Fintech Hub LT. Let's start with the Fintech Hub LT. I'm the board member and the founder of this organization, and this organization is very crucial, instrumental for the so-called Lithuanian Fintech revolution. The success story, how the small, tiny country became one of the giants of the financial services, or especially payments business. Again, founder, the current board member for the fourth consecutive term. The press position, Again, I'm the Chief Executive Officer of PaySub UAB. This is the part of the group of the fintech companies. We just decided to split up, say, the license company and to separate from the technology company. There are going to be like two separate companies, one going to be licensed soon. And PaySub UAB, it's based in Vilnius, Lithuania, is a provider of the, say, technical and any kind of solutions for the various and quite complex business verticals, including gaming. Idea is really very simple. This is the matter of your risk appetite. It's a matter of your experience. It's a matter of your staff experience. And as far as you can comprehend, high-risk verticals you really can embark on and can serve them. That's it.
Thank you so much. Joseph?
I'm trying not to repeat myself, but it's difficult with two panels after each other. So, yes, I have to say this again. I'm originally coming from the gambling industry. It's like an anonymous association declaration, like, yes, I admit it. The point is that at some point in time, I got bored of this industry and I wanted to do something different. So after many, many years in the gambling industry, I moved into the crypto industry. That opened a lot of opportunities for me in terms of payments, more general, and EMIs, and eventually even investment services. So at the end of the day, in Malta, we managed to attract a very interesting ecosystem, I would say, of payment providers, EMIs, and also crypto asset providers. And today, most of my work is related to that. I'm also on the Malta Chamber of Commerce subcommittee for virtual assets.
Thank you so much. And if you are new in this panel and haven't attended the previous one, my name is Anna Agu. I'm managing partner and co-founder at Lex Law Office. We are a law firm based in Baltics, advising the clients both from iGaming, fintech, and crypto space since 2017. My background is actually from finance, tax authorities, and then I moved to the, let's say, emerging technologies. And today I'm super excited to moderate this panel with those amazing experts. Let's start with the questions. First of all, first question is for you, Victoria. What do you think, why planning, banking, and payment solutions today is crucial and important for the businesses, especially for the iGaming, and which kind of risks it creates if you haven't done your homework?
Well, payment and banking today affects everything, every area of your operation. It affects your user experience, how the person does the checkout. It affects your data security. It affects your technology. It affects your finance. It affects everything, product development, everything. So thinking that your poor little accountant is going to manage all of that, making decisions of user experience, how the player is going to check out, or making decisions on data security, then you're in trouble, right? So payment and banking is getting more and more complex because that's your funds. It's important. Who is holding your funds? How are they regulated? Where are they regulated? What are they doing with your money? How their decisions, their shortcomings, their technological failures affecting your business? How are you trusting in a single point of failure when you're integrating all your payment providers through one gateway? And these things you need to talk about. Because if you still think that payment and banking is something that your CFO is going to sort it out, and you're not talking to risk, you're not talking to legal, you're not talking to UX, you're not talking to the development team and put things like integration on the roadmap, you're losing money and you don't even know. And you're in risk and you don't even know. So that's why I am advocating for put payments and banking where it belongs, to the forefront of your strategy. You need to understand what your payments and banking providers require from you and then build the operation around it, not the other way around. It's not like you start a company, you innovate, you do some kind of miracle that nothing happened before, and now you're saving the world and finding a payment and banking provider who is willing to work with you, because you are going to have a massive headache and you're going to lose funds. You need to understand what are you allowed to do, how you can move money internationally, how banks think, how to satisfy their compliance, and build your operation around it. And in this way, you understand where the money comes from, how much, how often, what currency, what are you going to do with that, how the treasury is going to handle your funds. And in this way, you can create the least amount of headache, problems, risk, and lost money on the way.
Thank you, amazing Victoria, for this incredible, important things. Before we will move forward with understanding how bank thinks, I would like to understand how operators are thinking. And my next question is to you, Saulus. What do you think, how expectation of the, let's say, iGaming operators have shifted within the last years in terms of the control, speed, and involvement?
Victoria, to tell the truth, how it is, what I need to tell. No, being serious, really we've been dealing with the two separate industries, first of all, and every industry has its own interest, when it comes, say, to gambling operators, they really care about a client's experience, about any kind of the number of clicks and so on. But this is not the case for the payment service provider. Because from the payment service provider point of view, say we have any kind of specific payment-related payment-based accounts, as well as we have any specific accounts with the bank alcohol or specific accounts with the bank, the guns. Idea is really just to have the structure when your client uses an account, and this is at least the second account and the first account, and you really can upsell, you really can do good stuff. Idea is really that when it comes to the situation, say, mainly we've been talking about ties between the payment service providers and the gambling operators. In many cases, the big ones, those really that who really just drive the business, And here is really like situation again. What is really important for the payment service provider, the set of tools, We have a lot of novelties. It's not about the blockchain, We don't care. It could be postal pigons, just delivering the messages as it was like maybe 200 years ago. But the idea, we comprehend the situation, what we have now on the table, and what we need to use in order to find the solutions. What is the hottest issue now? For instance, say, it's a so-called payment sending directive. It's a very revolutionary. There will be open gates for the electronic money institutions and the payment service provider to the SEPA and to the target, to this kind of gross settlement systems, It's really revolutionary. There will be no dependence. But on the other hand, we still have issues with storing of client funds. We really need to have account with a credit institution. But despite that fact, there are still a lot of contacts, negotiations with the European Central Bank, European Commission, and European Banking Authority just to change their rules, just to keep clients' money with the central banks. They're going to be really very important, the game changer, I would say. For instance, we have just very small number of independent clearing houses. Say it could be Lithuanian Centralink, Latvian EKS, and there's the third one. It seems to be that legally gates are open widely, but when it comes to reality, we have a very different picture now. And as well, it depends really, it's really up to the country, to implement, because it's not regulations, a directive. There might be some, the fancy situation when it comes to implementation in the national law. The second one, what is really very important, is like the capacities of SEPA. We've been talking about request to pay. Say, in connection with the SEPA instant, there could be very powerful way of payment, even in some way somehow replacing this certain features of the card schemes. This is really a set of the tools. And okay, we have the set of the tools. We have the different jurisdictions. And each jurisdiction, despite of the common legal framework, provides with the different opportunities. And then we have the clients, say, big e-gaming operators. And this is really ID, just that we have our own rules, they have their own rules. And the question is really where we can create a good product out of this. This is not actually going to sit in the front of the doors as some kind of the small guys begging, please give us. No, it's not about that. We're quite proud enough, I'm proud of very conventional banking. And 20 years ago, there was really the situation that it was like must wear Pulse de Larry suit and Hermes tie, That's a different story. We had a panel where the people, they were talking about it, what happened 20 years ago. I really can tell a lot of stories about the caviar parties and so on, so on. No, we're quite proud enough, as well as the e-gaming operators, they're also proud enough, And in some way, this creates a certain tension. Again, this is about a cooperation. We have two different industries with the two different logics, two different cultures, but there is a way for the cooperation. We can find a common ground. We can find the solutions, but based on our capacities, based on our set of tools, based on our, comprehension of the legal framework. That could be now the long, short answer, but again, that's the question was whether to tell the truth or how it is,
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. My next question is about, let's say, adaptation to the expectation of the, once again, gaming platform, and how the fintechs and payment providers are reshaping their infrastructure or adapting their infrastructure to the platform needs. Martina, maybe you can add on this?
Yeah, maybe a little bit clear. I start payout our platform is focusing on integrating a lot of payment options. So we communicate with the banks. We are looking for another payment option, not only a card processing, but also maybe account to account. We are looking for a crypto processor. So our platform is something like embedded finance market. So we start cooperation with the traditional banking, and we want to implement them directly into our solution, and after then we offer to our clients. And we see the huge opportunity for us and for another fintech company, because all these payment methods will be always using by the players, and when the players start using this payments method, it's about the boosting retention and about boosting your revenue. So this is my answer.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's move forward with the instant payments and deposits. My next question is for you, Saulius and Josep. Instant deposits and withdrawals are becoming a key competitive advantage. And I would like to specify what kind of technical and regulatory hurdles in enabling real-time payments across the different markets. So from the regulatory perspective, which kind of regulatory, let's say, challenges payment institutions are facing in enabling the real-time payments? And from the technical part, Saulius, maybe you can add.
So definitely we're seeing more adoption of crypto, which is more, let's say, it's close to immediate, but also, I think even more importantly, we're seeing also the SEPA immediate transfers now. I forgot what they're called exactly, the technical name that they're given. But they have a specific name now, SEPA Instant, yes, which I think is a very good move, and I think this will change a lot. But this is just Europe, so we need to look elsewhere and elsewhere. I believe just to continue on what Victoria was saying earlier, it's not just a matter of finding the right places where you can hold your money, or where where they are regulated and so on. But also, where is your customer base? You need to have the correct payment solutions depending on where your customers are. And that's why you need more than one solution. So if you try to go into Brazil with the European payment solutions, you're out. So you need to adapt to what makes sense in those jurisdictions. And that's where maybe payment gateways, I'm assuming like the one of Martina, could be of help. But you need, I think today as a gaming operator, you have to have a team on payments. I know gaming operators that have not just teams on payments, but rather even the legal department would have a section on payments to advise the gaming team, the gaming company on the payment. So I think it's becoming more and more crucial.
Yeah, thank you for this amazing, very valuable point. I even have seen, in terms of the corporate structure, the department dedicated to the payments in crypto assets and fiat. Even we are moving forward. My next question is to you, Martina. Can you please elaborate a little bit more on IPMs?
Sorry, there was the question related to meals and technical part.
Sorry, I forgot it. Sorry,
okay.
sorry. Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's learn that we've been talking about top-ups and payouts, you know. This is nothing extraordinary. In many cases, we use, say, the card schemes, or in Germany, in so-called the DAG, Deutschland, Austria, and Switzerland is very, as one of the countries, is popular method is SEPA direct debit, which is a little bit outdated due to so-called quasi chargebacks. And it is really just technically how there will be a lot of improvements related to the request to pay and the SEPA instant. The cards, so but again, I would like to go back to the legal stuff. We have just very few citations. This is not on our side. What I'm telling, what we hear from the gambling operators, this, so we'll know CC 7995. Maybe you know what it's really about. How to find the ways to be creative. No, it's on their side. I say it's not on our side. No comments. I'm totally agnostic. And another issue, especially in the German-speaking and maybe only in the Bundesrepublik Deutschland, it's really a situation with the GGL. It's a regulator there. And it's a very highly, how to say, legal dispute, which law is prevailing, whether European Union law or German law. And then it's really like Malta is good jurisdiction. I don't know, you can correct me, but I think there was the decision made by the Supreme Court of Malta on this kind of cases. And Maltese operators, they really are quite brave when it comes to the serving the operators with the licenses in Malta and with the clients in Germany.
Well, what happened is, particularly with regards to Austria, because in Austria there's this extortion positive law where basically the people that do extortion are given a prize. So at the end of the day, there was this law, for those of you that are not in the gambling industry, whereby if you play on a site that is not licensed in Austria, you can claim your deposits back, but basically the money wagered back. And obviously, in principle, when the law was enacted, probably it made sense. The problem is Austria doesn't really have a regulatory framework, so you can't even get a license in Austria, so it's even more complex than that. But the point is that what was happening, a lot of private individuals, mostly lawyers, were actually making people extort the operators, and they actually went at lengths of buying the debt from the clients and actually starting proceedings against the operators on behalf of the clients, and they would get like the full amount back, while the clients would get 50%, for example. They were making money out of this. And for some reason, the courts accepted this in Austria, and in Malta, the Supreme Court said, look, this does not make sense. There were a number of legal reasons why that were quoted by the law, by the court. And ultimately it said, look, you cannot enforce these judgments because these judgments are not in line with the rule of law and the good order principles, public policy principles we have in Malta. It was literally extortion. So people started playing for free, and if they lose the money, they claim it back. If they win, they will take the winnings. But if they lose the money, they claim it back. In my opinion, it's fraud.
Yeah, and we will be talking about the fraud later on. My next question is regarding IPMs to Martina. Martina, which kind of advantages of offering IPMs is creating for the iGaming sector, and why it is important?
From a perspective, it's a really important part of the payment processor. It's not just about the payments, but also it can be another things, for example, risk management of the operators, and it's really important. For example, when you integrate the local payments, such as account to account, you are able to verify the bank account, the player, in the first step, and it's really important to predict the maybe potential fraud or something like this. So we are focusing on integration on this payment. Sometimes they are a little bit cheaper than another payment options available on the market, and we try to find the right payments options for the players, because it's about the players' expectation, it's about their satisfactions, and we want to keep them on the platform which are using our clients.
Thank you so much for sharing this. Let's move forward with virtual assets and Web3 and their interaction with the iGaming sector. My next question is to you, Josep. How are cryptocurrencies are actually reshaping the payment systems in iGaming? And which kind of risks virtual currencies are bringing to the market, if any?
Well, initially it started a lot with what Solius was saying, that basically they were using cryptocurrencies to camouflage the gambling transaction, so to avoid the use of that particular transaction code, the 7995, right? Which is not a great idea, of course, because you get possibly exposed even to potential money laundering breaches and so on. So one has to be extremely careful when doing these things. I believe that right now the main use of cryptocurrencies, so in regulated gambling, not much use, to be honest. There's only one jurisdiction, to my knowledge, that allows operators to accept cryptocurrencies, and that's Malta. And that has a proper framework for operators to accept cryptocurrencies. Unfortunately, many other jurisdictions are not allowing operators to accept cryptocurrencies as payment. Maybe this will change with MiCA. Hopefully this will change with MiCA. But again, as I was saying earlier, the client of the gambling operator is usually not interested in innovation so much, and is more, let's say, traditionalist. And I believe that at this stage in regulated markets, we're going to see very little use of crypto in gaming. Also, because the biggest advantage of crypto in gaming is when you are using the full potential of blockchain coupled with the use of crypto, which is very difficult to see in the gambling industry, in the regulated gambling industry. However, as you mentioned in the previous panel, we're seeing a lot of these operators, not really operators, these websites being set up where there's no one really managing the site. They are open source. They allow developers to develop new games and new graphics and create their own sort of casino, but everything's on the blockchain and no one really owns it. And I think for crypto people, these are much more interesting than traditional gambling websites. However, they will never attract the proper gamblers, and that's where the big money is, of course.
Maybe I can add, it's really, I will turn in different direction, you know. DLT provides a lot of opportunities when it comes to tokenization of KYC and QAB information. That's the key point, you know, in order to create some kind of closed loops and the very powerful marketplaces and stuff like this, you really need to start using. I see that the revolutionary potential, but maybe not in payments per se, but in what we call something like the infrastructure supporting payments, especially KYC, QIB information tokenization. That could be a bright future for the DLT there.
Yeah, totally agree. My next question is...
Anna, however,
yes,
there's
yes,
a big
yes.
risk with the GDPR there. So
Of
the
course.
moment you're putting certain information on the blockchain, you cannot really delete it unless you're using a permission blockchain, which is not a blockchain. It's a fake blockchain, in my opinion. So the real blockchain is the public one, and that is where all the security is, and that's where all the immutability is. And unfortunately, if you put certain data there, you have a big problem because you're breaching GDPR. Of course, if you put the data that can be put, then yes. So whoever will manage to crack the right codes to actually put the necessary data, which is not also personal data, then yes, it can be extremely useful.
Say that it's supposed to be the right version of DLT that supports tokenization of QAB and KYC information.
The what?
The right version of DLT.
So the right version of DLT would be the permission blockchain?
No, something like that, let's say the very specific version, you know.
Okay.
Because they're going to be solution, I'm so sure, because you know personally companies.
The problem is that the moment we start using blockchains that are not fully public, in truth, you don't have the same level of immutability, you don't have the same level of security in them, so you can still have a bad player who is involved in the company running that blockchain who can make certain changes or steal certain data and so on and so forth. So that's why I believe that if we're going to use blockchain, we're either going to use it in full or else we don't need to use blockchain in truth.
Yeah, but we need to also see that, address the elephant in the room, that the blockchain and all of those crypto payments were used and abused to overcome all of the traditional fiat regulations, right? I mean, if we are talking about the Tether USDT being the most used crypto asset where everybody is just cheating tax and doing criminal activities and it's not monitored by anything, then yes, it is a compliance nightmare when we are talking about crypto payments. And if all of those unregulated casinos are integrating that and we don't know where is the source of funds and all of those sanctioned countries are now joining the game, it is a banking and compliance nightmare to filter out that what is legal, what is not, and not to even mention the, the miscoding of the 7995. I mean, if it's a gambling traffic, 7995, clear and cut. And, Visa, MasterCard see where the money is coming from and what is it paid for. But if we are doing it, the quasi-cash and the crypto and whatnot under a miscoding thing, it's a clear bypass of the Visa, MasterCard regulation. It is there for a reason, to filter out all of those creative individuals like whoever is using
to be honest, also, let's remember, sorry, Anna, I'm hijacking. One of the reasons why this was created because of the payment blocking that started in Sweden.
Exactly.
And to be honest, I am very disdained by the fintech and the payments industry there, because if I were the industry there, I would have protested. I'm not your police, sorry, authority, do your work, stop the operators yourself, but don't use me to stop gaming operators from taking business in Sweden. I actually think that had they really fought against this, the payment providers, they would have won it. Because how can you make the payment provider police what you should be policing as a gambling authority? I'm sorry, but I will never agree with that. And remember, crypto has been created as a form of protest. Crypto is a form of protest against the traditional things that are not working. And this, in my opinion, is one of the things that is not working. The payment industry should have never accepted to be used as a police.
Yeah, but that's what banks are for, right? Follow the money, find a criminal, right? So that's what banks are for, to maintain a financially
that's what
healthy
made
system.
everyone hate banks, because they have become police. They
Yeah,
shouldn't.
but who else is going to be there? I mean, obviously, if I'm giving you cash under the table, no one's going to see it. We're going to bypass all of the regulations and we cheat taxes. Who's going to be there to enforce that we are living in a healthy society? If not the bank, what's the alternative? Who is going to be taking the responsibility as a police to make sure that, hey, you are not cheating your taxes? I mean, if you don't have banks, and banks have a lot on their plate already, but they are the ones who are responsible policing and maintaining a healthy economy when everybody's paying their taxes and no crime is being committed. Who else? Who else is going to pick up this? Because no one wants to be the bad guy who is saying, no, you can't cheat tax. Here comes crypto. No one is checking everything. It's free for all. So I can understand, the financial institutions as well, that, you know what, I just don't want to take any more risks. I already have a lot of cost and responsibility. Crypto on top, right?
I really think that balance is somewhere in the between, right? We do have the National Supervisory Authority who should do the supervision on the financial institutions, but it's also a responsibility of the financial institutions to actually prevent the money laundering, to identify the frauds and scam, to report, etc. Those are the basics of the compliance rules for the financial institutions. And we are slightly moving to the next, let's say, topic, which is related to the security, compliance, AML, fraud prevention. And my next question is to you, Martina. Which kind of manual and technical tools you are implementing as a financial institution to prevent the fraud?
We're implementing a lot of solutions, and last year we decided that we start our own solution. It's FraudNet, and FraudNet uses federative learning based on AI, and we are working with our data from our clients, and we combine it with the global fraud systems and patterns, and we still focus on the actual data, and we work them. So that means that our clients can stop the potential fraud before that happened.
Šiaulius, would you like to add? Which kind of solutions do you have?
Fortunately, the situation is totally different, say, when it comes to 2018, 2018. We've got a lot of vendors, a lot of providers, whether the very sophisticated solutions for QAC, QAB, especially for monitoring, there was really big hurdle in the wheels like 5-7 years ago. So the fraud prevention, no. I think this is the matter not of the absence, it's the matter of your budget. How big is your budget? As far as you really can comprehend, big budgets, you really can acquire any kind of sophistication, any kind of stuff with any level of sophistication. The list is long. I'm involved in this kind of situations on a daily basis, and I would say I'm sometimes surprised what they use. They use not only the artificial intelligence, but also some kind of the open sources for the creation of the CML algorithms. That's some kind of around what we call, it's not the rocket science, but this is really rocket science. I think this really situation is over, and that's as a matter of your budget. As far as you can comprehend, big budgets you really can get any kind of stuff with any level of sophistication.
Thank you for sharing this. My next question is regarding a trend related with the synthetic identity frauds, which means that basically the false data, mix of the false and accurate data are used to create the imagination of the real identity, and this is used by the scammers to open the bank account, to get the loans, to commit the financial crime, etc. Which kind of solutions do you see over here? Josep, maybe you can comment on this. And Šiaulius, have you seen this trend for you as a financial institution?
Would you start? Okay, it's identification or for us again about some kind of the IT stuff, The same situation with, say, the monitoring. You really can get the best of the breed, any kind of sophistication level problems, But here also we rely on different, the situations when it comes to different jurisdictions. For instance, I think in Estonia, Lithuania, it's not a big deal just to give your passport. Someone really makes photograph, and that's all. That's no problem at all. But it could be a big issue in Germany, There is no like the one solution applicable for all the countries, for all the situations. There is the different level of complexity which is related to certain practices in the certain European Union countries.
Josep, would you like to add?
Well, I think the biometric solutions that we've seen have evolved a lot today. So at the end of the day, onboarding has become much more seamless than it was 2-3 years ago. If you look at the proper onboarding, like with proper verifications, I believe that with the use of AI, it's going to become even more interesting, and I can't wait to get to a stage where things will be much smoother and much faster. But yes, I think we've already seen a massive improvement. I'm all the time passing through these due diligences, not for obviously gambling companies, but in general. And nowadays it has become a breeze. Sometimes I do it during a conference, like I go in a corner and do the verification and it's done. In the past you had to be in a very quiet room and with the perfect lighting, and so today things have improved a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. I would try to sum up our panel because we are running out of time, and I got the notice, secret signs from the organizers. So just to provide some kind of final thoughts and your opinion, if you look ahead, let's say 3-5 years, what will be the new normal of the payment expectations and solutions for the gambling operators and players as well? Just a quick sum up.
Okay, maybe I can start. I hope it will be embedded finance. That means that payments, deposit and the withdrawals will fully implemented in the process, and the operators start using the solution which offer more. So for example, KYC, AML process, and all-in-one solution. So I hope this will be the future of the fintech and operators.
Thank you. Victoria?
Yeah, I think more and more people realize that they need to be educated around payments and banking, right? It's no longer, I don't know, let me ask, let me find an introducer who might have a solution for me. No. You need to educate yourself. You need to know what you are doing and who are your providers. You need to do due diligence. And when we are talking about AI, you will be able to have various tools to be able to make the relevant decisions that how one payment product or financial service is going to affect you in a good way or a bad way. You will have tools to strategize and plan for the future. But the most important thing is that I can see now the industry is waking up. You can no longer do payments and banking and make decisions over funds without having the education, without having standards, without having understanding that how important is that. So hopefully there's going to be more and more qualifications and standard sets.
So when it comes to technology, I see like the 3 important pillars. First of all, the implementation of all advantages of the SEPA instant at the full extent, going to be very revolutionary. Then say better version of the direct debit, or where the electronic invoicing or this kind of new situation where request to play plus SEPA plus. They're going to be very important changes, and also say the tokenization of information. That's very important. It's like creating the inner loops, closed loops, and abolishing there is need every inch time to onboard or onboard and stuff like this. From the technological point of view, you see a lot of movements, and the situation going to be quite different. And we know a lot of providers, or at least emerging providers, who really will be able to provide with the ready-to-go solutions.
So I agree perfectly with Saulius, but to add something else, I think I think we're going to see a lot of more gaming companies getting their own payment licenses and getting their own CASP licenses and starting to do things themselves. They're becoming bigger and bigger, and I'm already seeing a number of them getting their own licenses, and I'm pretty sure that this trend will continue, especially for big operators. It doesn't make sense for smaller ones, but bigger operators, they will have that. There is a possibility for small operators to come together, but they don't want to share the data with each other, so it will not happen.
Joseph, at the end, the Deutsche Bank will be winner. You know, can you imagine the gambling company owned by the Deutsche Bank?
I can really imagine, because as long as they can make money, they will be in. And suddenly gaming will not be evil anymore, I can assure you.
It will be more equal than others, you know. No, it's better to have separated the payment service providers and gambling operators. That will be the best situation.
Thank you, dear panelists. It was amazing chat. We had a lot of interesting ideas. For me, I would like to take one interesting thought from this panel with me. First of all, to understand that fintech and iGaming is absolutely different industries. To ensure this cooperation, they need to speak same languages. They need to understand the regulatory environment for both industries, because it's slightly different. And most of all, it is important to make the smart movements in terms of the risk management and then fraud prevention to ensure the long-term vision for your company. Thank you so much.